Today we're doing three stories about the outer solar system and the exploration of the outer solar system, where conditions are very, very different and very, very extreme in the cold point of view. And so these are stories about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. And Uranus and Neptune are in some ways quite similar to Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn, large gas giants made out of hydrogen and helium, and so are Uranus and Neptune. But because they're colder, we think the conditions are much different. In fact, they're often referred to as ice giants. And in fact, that there may be oceans of liquid water in Uranus and Neptune. And that, of course, leads science fiction writers to all sorts of ideas about the fact that there might be life. And so they, in one set on Neptune, which is one Sunday in Neptune, they're actually based on Triton, which is the big moon of Neptune, which makes sense because it has solid ground. And they're very, very bored. They're a long way from Earth and they don't have much to do, and so they decide, as a little Sunday project, that they'll fix up this bathscape and go look for life on Neptune. And so it's kind of a fun story that way.
Well, at least their motivations seem a little more, let's just have fun with our Sunday project. Now, in Snowbank orbit, however, dealing with Uranus, there is the issue of the hostile space aliens. Those are often used as a trope to get humans to do things that they wouldn't otherwise do. And that idea that there might be aliens who are interested in gas giants while we are terrestrials is interesting if you think about that being a very extreme opposition in the kind of environment that people might like to have. And aliens, we hope, will like a different kind of environment. But in these stories, we also have some examples of heroism, where humans do sacrifice themselves for others. So I think we want to, this week, think critically about the concept of a space war and what that suggests and how that reflects back on wars that we've had on Earth.
The third story is called Wait It Out, which is set on Pluto. It's a very interesting story, also written by Larry Niven, who wrote Neutron Star, and about the first people that go to Pluto, and of course bad things happen. And so it's interesting from a technological point of view, and also, again, it's the same kind of story, being stranded at the South Pole. There's, real life stories like Scott, who went to the South Pole and never made it back. So human exploration is full of these success stories and also tragic stories where people don't go back. And this one's a nice mix of the fact that they're stranded, but there's some chance that they might get home.
Well, of course, some people today do freeze their brains in the hope that someday they might be revived, and we don't really know if that's going to work. We don't have that technology. But we might want to consider what aspect of humanity is searching for this kind of immortality, where you resist dying so that you have yourself frozen. Now, of course, the character in this story is also turned into a statue, and so that's rather ironic and bizarre, and something that we can talk about too, the idea of monumentalizing yourself. And the last sort of comparison I'd like you to think about is, how does this compare to The Martian, where we also have a human being stranded with no immediate hope of getting rescued? So how does the human being confronting a very hostile natural environment decide to remain human or preserve his humanity, even if it's by turning into a frozen statue? It's a very interesting story.
And the other really interesting thing is that we actually know a huge amount about Mars that we didn't know a year ago. The first spacecraft, New Horizons, ever to fly past Pluto just went, and we have these amazing pictures of what Pluto really looks like, and we'll be talking about that too.
Well, that's why it's a really fun time to read science fiction and to study astronomy, because there are new developments all the time, and you can be sure that somewhere there's a science fiction writer working on these new ideas and writing a new story for us.